Hello everyone, I'm Georgie Qiao. I'm happy to present our work, a contextual inquiry of using VR videos in education. This study aims to understand the factors that motivate instructors' adoption of VR videos, identify challenges, and examine pedagogical adjustments when integrated VR into their classroom. Our study also serves as a practical case of how VR can be adopted and integrated into education. The world of education is rapidly changing, and the introduction of new feature technologies like virtual reality is revolutionizing how we learn and educate. Imagine learning history by virtually walking through the ancient civilization, or understanding astronomy by floating in space. VR makes this possible. You don't just sit and listen, you get to explore and feel like you are really there. Just see how many VR companies emerged in educational areas. A global market report pointed that the educational VR market size has grown exponentially in recent years. It will grow from 11 billions in 2023 to 6 billions to this year at a growth rate at almost 14%. For a reference, according to the forecast, the educational PC market is expected to grow at an annual rate of 15%, not even half of VR. However, we still rarely see VR used in our classroom. There's billions of dollars being spent on this, and all this technology is out there. But we still know how to use it in education in the right way. Is VR a hype, hope, or heal? I put this sentence here because I think it's a good summary of how people think about VR. If we don't know how to use it, all we are going to end up with more people are wasting their time with headsets on. Our prior VR investigation has pointed out that what worries instructors most is the cost design investment. Instructors usually don't have many technical background. They have to connect with VR designers or developers to create their ideal teaching materials. One way to respond to the challenge of VR content creation is to use VR video, or what we often call 360-degree video. With so many affordable 360-degree video cameras out there and lots of VR videos available online, it's a more budget-friendly and user-friendly option to create a realistic digital world without having to team up with developers to create a simulated VR environment. The effectiveness of collaborative VR video-based learning may depend on major class activities or video content. We can easily imagine that VR video can be a powerful tool in geography class through a field trip. There are certain areas or subjects where its effectiveness may be limited, such as abstract or theoretical concepts in a math class. It is unclear what pedagogies are behind the VR video-based learning. Inspired by this, we came up with three research questions. What are the factors that impact the interest in VR video usage in classes? What challenges do instructors face, and what facilitations are currently missing in the process of generating instructional units with VR videos? The last question is, how do instructors adapt pedagogical approaches to instructional units with VR videos? In order to answer these research questions, we invited 11 instructors from different departments. We use the contextual inquiry as our method, which involves an in-person contextual inquiry session, including observing and interviewing instructors in their real workspace, and an online interpretation session through a survey, helping validate and triangulate our results. VR video system trial aims to introduce our participants to the technical capabilities of VR video technology and assist them in broadening their approach to structure their class. We chose this system because this system is specifically designed for collaborative educational settings, and it has demonstrated evidence about the potential usage in real class for instructors in our prior Qiao work. It has several class management and monitoring tools such as view sharing, monitoring, and annotation. During the course design session, we provided instructional units as cards and allow participants to rearrange the order to match their teaching behavior and habits. If there were additional steps they consider important but not included on these cards, they could add them on blank cards. Participants were allowed to draw connections between steps, even if a linear process didn't apply. While conducting the interview, the researcher also kept observation notes and took photos for further analysis, including interactions with digital technology and materials, interaction with physical tools and materials, and their teaching environments. To validate and refine the outcomes derived from our contextual inquiries, we conducted an interpretation session which served as a member check-in through an online survey with open-ended questions. Our participants had various backgrounds in teaching methodologies, instructing setup, and disciplines that might shape their experience with VR videos. A total of 14 teaching scenarios that participants describe cover a wide range of subjects and disciplines, such as biology, anthropology, chemistry, and etc. 5 themes emerged from the contextual inquiry: a varying interest in VR video adoption based on perceived value and received support, the importance of class piloting and refinement in successful teaching, constraints on experience diversity due to video generation capabilities, missing management, monitoring, and assessment tools in VR content, missing subject-specific learning aids for experiential learning. In this presentation, I will focus on 2 of them. First, the importance of pilot class. Class piloting allows instructors to experiment, refine, and evaluate their instructional units with VR videos before implementation on a full scale. We found that the instructional units often are not arranged in a linear sequence, but can be iterative or grouped to align with instructors' objectives. Piloting class emerged as a critical step advocated by instructors, an aspect that has not been previously covered in our initial instructional units framework, but has an impact on every unit. Instructors identify 2 types of piloting with different goals: practicing VR technology ahead of classes to reduce the concerns regarding technology issues, and it's essential to evaluate the effectiveness of VR videos before formally deploying in class, as VR is still relatively new to them. As this participant said, if using VR videos improves students' learning outcome, the instructor would love to apply this technology to later classes. Next theme, constraints on experiencing diversity due to video generation capabilities. The intended learning experience is often affected by the quality of VR video content used for the instruction. One limitation is on the online video resources. For example, one participant commented that the VR video is still in the developmental stage. It's not pervasive like everywhere, so you still need to make lots of effort to look for them. Notably, instructors explored alternative VR tools for VR videos during the video search process. For example, one participant found 360-degree images in search results and became interested in this content because it could also meet her teaching goals. Instructors discussed the concerns in moving between platforms and formats for VR video content and other supporting activities related to the video. For example, facilitating pre- and post-VR video activities make sure there is a smooth transitions. Another point is the disconnection between students and instructors or among students. Instructors hope to establish stronger connections with students or encourage connections among students while playing VR videos, including facilitating team collaboration, keeping awareness of student status and process, and assessing students' performance inside VR. While this paper primarily focuses on using VR videos as a pedagogical tool, it also serves as an example of how VR technology can adapt to the actual classroom. So here we have 3 design implications for educational VR: facilitating the validation of educational effectiveness and community collaboration, lowering barriers for content search, creation, and authoring tools, and developing cohesive classroom management, monitoring, and assessment mechanisms. So here I will only talk about the second one. Our results show that most instructors choose to directly get video content online. However, there are limitations in online resource and accessible tools to adapt video content for pedagogical purpose. So here we provide some potential future directions, like facilitating accessible means of searching for various sources, scaffolding easy enough content creation and editing, also simplify the sharing and connection for educators and content creators. That's all my presentation. Thank you.